Welcome back, my fellow patriots, the Save Our Republic Daily video series. We are moving on to the 21st Amendment, which is the only amendment that repeals a prior amendment. This amendment repeals the 18th Amendment, which was Prohibition. And what happened in the interim, you probably have a general sense for the story, is that once Prohibition took effect, there was, how would I put it, lax enforcement in some areas, as well as a burgeoning illicit trade, which resulted in mob violence and control of the illicit production and distribution of alcohol. There were places called speakeasies, which were basically bars that were unlicensed, that were hidden in basements and other kinds of things. There were alcohol traffickers across the country. I live in the Detroit area, and when the Detroit River would freeze over, people would drive from Canada over to the United States and to Detroit and provide liquor. It was a mess, and there was some vigorous enforcement, but in the end, it ended up being this grand experiment to try to rid the country of the devil brew of alcohol failed, and the 18th Amendment was repealed with the 21st Amendment. One thing that you might kind of have in the back of your mind, but hadn't really thought about, was that there is a section. So there's three main sections. The first section is it repeals the 18th Amendment. The second section says that the states and territories that decide to prohibit the importation and use of alcohol within their territories, that they basically have that authority. So it's a federalized issue now. Each state and territory has the right to ban liquor, and then some states delegate that to their counties. And there are still some counties across the country that are dry counties that ban the use and sale of alcohol. So that's where things stand in connection with the 18th Amendment. It came into effect relatively quickly. The third section of the amendment simply said if it's not adopted by a certain time, it would be inoperative, and that didn't happen because it was approved and ratified relatively quickly as constitutional amendments go, and that grand experiment in Prohibition was rescinded. For those of you that pay attention to these kinds of matters, the original concerns about alcohol have not gone away. We still have slaughters on our highways. Drunk driving is a major leading cause of accidents and deaths. We have a number of people that are addicted, domestic violence, crimes, all those social concerns, the breakup of families, the whole 9 yards, that's still going on. But we have made a decision as a country to allow that to be vested with the states to make a state-by-state determination about whether or not it makes more sense as a public policy matter to have it legal and tax it and try to regulate it and penalize those that abuse it and commit crimes under their influence, and deal with the other social ills versus all the social ills that happened when it was prohibited. And it's been an interesting experiment, which has really kind of been forgotten. It's been, over 100 years since it was implemented. And so it makes sense that it kind of has faded in the memory. But it is an instructive time in our history, and in connection with what do we do with the scourges of illicit drugs. And we can see even now that, with marijuana liberalization, either decriminalization or outright legalization, that there's the pendulum is starting to swing towards, again, more liberalization in connection with what in the past would have been definitely considered to be illicit drug use. And we'll see where this takes us. Until next time, don't forget about America's Survival Guide at americasurvivalguide.com, Patriot Week at patriotweek.org, and the Patriot Lessons American History and Civics podcast. And don't forget that is available on all major podcast platforms. Until tomorrow, God bless you and God bless America.